Francois from Production Music Live, today with Producer Notes, and we're taking a look at the style of Norwegian producer and DJ Meera and Danish trio called Tripolism. And we have a fully arranged track here modeled after a song called Whatever We Call It, only using Ableton Live stock effects and instruments plus Serum, PML drum sounds, PML sounds overall, with different chords, melodies and harmonies and vocals. And I'm going to skip through the arrangement quickly so we have an overview. We are starting with an intro of this 6-minute track, more meditative, longer arrangement. So high-passed kicks and percussions playing here, and we already have some vocal drones playing and some pad atmos, and then we are bringing in the lower bass sounds. And every now and then we have these clap hits. And after around a minute, we introduce these dreamy vocals.
Take it back, please rewind.
And then we are winding it back down, focusing again on the dreamy drum loops here in this drop. And also introducing this analog lead, and then we are getting into a verse.
Take it back, please rewind. Sanity.
And then we are getting into this break part after like 2 minutes. Basically always playing one chord, only here in the break we are alternating semitones up there. To create a bit of tension, then we have, well, we'll look at that later. Then we are getting into this build-up. Yeah, then we have this main drop with these super nice arpeggio sounds here. Harmonically, it's different from the reference track. We have different chords, different melodies, but kind of the similar vibe to it. And then the pattern repeats here. And then we are going into the outro where the leads wind down. So very dreamy, very trippy, and we have this long echo here in this kind of H delay setup, and I'm going to turn this off for a moment because otherwise we always have that long delay in the background. So this is the arrangement overview. If we just play the drums group quickly. This is basically our drum loop. Then we have the bass line group. A bit pitched here towards the end of 8 bars. And then we have the instruments group. drop it sounds like this, and in break or build up parts we have more pads. And below that we have the vocals group with these dreamy vocals and Atmos in the background. And it's basically pretty straightforward, but a very cool meditative style. And who's Meera? Meera is a rising star from Norway, playlisted by Keinemusik. We had requests in the comments here. Somebody was commenting, hey, can you do something by Meera? And I discovered its sound. I think it's great sound, absolutely great artist from Norway, very interesting, has quite the grown-up musical style, I have to say, in arrangements and introspective lyrics, has released on labels such as Crosstown Rebels, Grip Records, and Tripolism is a Danish trio from Copenhagen, and they're signed to Ultra Records, and this is a co-production. And we are reverse engineering and modeling this project file only using Ableton, stock effects and instruments, and Serum after their track. So let's take a look at the core setup in the drums first and listen to the kick. And basically we have a body that was designed using Serum. I'm still going to consolidate this later. But looking at the body of the kick with Serum, this is what it's designed like. So LFO1 controls volume, LFO2 the coarse pitch of oscillator A. So that's here, and we are sort of pitching it down, and then it's getting sent through envelope 1. And also we have this distortion effect on it. So that's the belly, the beefy part of the kick. And then on top we have this clicky part. Well, listen. And on top we have this clicky part. Just need a click, and we're taking one from a D Premium drum series sample. You can find links to our drum sample pack collection, D Premium 1 to 8, in the description. This one is from volume 1, a kick sound, and then we are treating it with EQ behind it. But we just need this initial click to put together a kick that sounds like the reference track. And then on top of that, we need a whole bunch of cymbals, but let's actually start looking at some of the percussive elements here. So for example, this dry percussion element. I'm going to turn off the kick or the body of the kick for a second. And in this style, you will find all sorts of different rhythms combined. We are taking this short dry perc, and then we are combining that with, so if I just solo this other one, this one is then in this case from D Premium volume 5. And what is it doing? Combined. So we are getting a bit of more stereo and texture information in here, and then we have another one below that. It's more like a clave rim type thing. Oh, here we have a different pattern, and we're repeating that really fast. So all types of combinations going on. This one has the same pattern. And here we have the clave thing, but this one is playing faster. It's a 16 notes here with, different velocities. And so you want to set the stage for this drum loop. Some organic percussion element. We are sending it through a rack called Stereo Maker, because it's super centered as the sample. And if you want to bring it to the sides, you can make use of the Haas effect. And then let's combine all of these elements together. Yeah, and this is reverse engineered from the original track. Usually if you work from scratch, you probably are already fine with one or two of those, or you just use a loop or something. But when you reverse engineer something, you really need to listen back and see like what kinds of patterns do we actually have here and how can I recreate them. And then below that we have this percussion loop, because you could also just use loops and do something similar. This is the Tim Engelhardt loop from, or one of them from the Premium Volume 6. And let's take a look at the cymbals, listen to them in solo. So we have a lot of shaker action going on here, all kinds of different short and longer shakers, and a shaker loop in here. So if I'm soloing the shaker loop, we can single that one out quickly. Very nice. And if we are taking this off, what does it sound like without it? So basically we have a shaker in every position. We have one on the first hit on the kick, smoothing out our kick sound. And then we have one in the second position right behind the kick here. You know, you can see that here. Kind of a bit early even, or is it late? Oh, let's take a look inside. It is early. And then the next one is coming in at the third beat. That's our offbeat shaker. And then we have another one. So we have a shaker basically in every position, but the second one you could argue is coming early. And then at times another second one is coming in every 4 hits. So this one here. Okay, combined. I mean, this, you know, all kinds of shaker setups will work here, because down here we are now even making some of those positions a bit stronger with closed hi-hat elements. So the 1 and the 3, and here we have a ride playing. So it's, don't go too crazy on those. It's a bit more filling out the frequency range in your shaker loops. This one is nice. So the shaker dry 02 and the shaker 008, they have a nice texture to them. Yeah, super helpful. And then down here on the first and on the third beat, we have these close hi-hats together with the kick. Cymbal elements combined. Putting that shaker loop back on. And now let's play all the drums together, so also with kicks and the percussive elements. You just need this basic setup here, and now we are also sending a bunch of those elements through the H delay echo here. So I'm putting that back on. And as you can see, in this style, you're not really changing your drums all that much. You have the full set playing in the main drop, and then you have a bit less playing in the first drop. So you emphasize on this one here. Down here we have toms. So we have this one. And another one below that. Okay, that's a snappy one. And we have. Very nice. Putting that together with the kicks. It's interesting. Sometimes you listen to these elements in solo and they don't really make sense, but they start making sense in the mix of everything. So if we combine the drums. So that's a quick overview of the drums. We still have a snare roll element here towards the main drop. 2 snares layered from Deep Premium Volume 2, which is a bit more EDM focused. And then we have this long clap sound here as an impact, and this one on top. Pretty sort of bright. And you also notice in this trippy style you don't have a clap in the second and fourth positions, because you're just emphasizing on the shakers. All right, so let's take a look at the bass line. We have 2 elements. We have the sub, which sounds like this. Let me turn that off again. So it has these, we are playing mono, and whenever we're doing something like this, we are pitching the note. And then from here. So it's not really that low down in the sub. In this case, we are fairly highly up. Let's take a look at the sound itself in Serum. We are playing ICANN has kick and a sine wave and oscillator B. And we are also playing a sine wave in the sub oscillator here, sending it all minus the sub oscillator through an MG Low 24 filter. And a bit of dimension expansion, a bit of hyper, but not much going on. Our mod wheel then controls the filter cutoff. So it's not a too complicated setup here. Envelope 1 looks like this. And both have one voice. It's set to mono, legato, and portamentos up. So that's why you get then the pitchy element towards whenever these overlapping notes are showing up in your MIDI. And then on top of that we have this plug sitting, same MIDI pattern. We're in A sharp minor here, and if we take a look at the sound itself, we have the same wavetable in oscillator A, and now we have 8 voices stacked next to one another, sort of in this setup here. And in the effects, there's nothing going on, and envelope 2 controls the filter cutoff. So if we take a look at that, we are controlling this MG Low Pass 24 filter with this quick envelope. And that's how we get it snappy, and also making sure envelope 1 is very short in decay times and sustain down all the way. So you have this plucky feel. Putting them together. And you can also use the pitch bend here. Bringing that back to the original position. This is our bass line, then we are sidechaining it all, and that's basically it. Not making it too complicated here. It will now get a bit more interesting in our instruments group, because we have this super nice analog lead sounds. With these nice arpeggio, quick arpeggio plays here. Let's quickly take a look at the sound first in Serum. How is it synthesized? And we have one saw wave and an alpha noise on top. in our effects setup, we have a bit of hyper dimension going on, emphasizing a bit on the mids with this EQ, a little bit of reverb with a decay time of 6.7, mixed in quite heavily, 35%. And then behind that, we have another low 12 decibels per octave low pass filter. Because we're using the first filter also as a low pass, but driving that one pretty harsh. That's also a bit of a balance thing here. Maybe if you feel like this can start sounding distorting or something, then maybe dial that back a bit. It's heavily pushed in here. Probably the original artist used some kind of analog gear or even modular gear to put together this sound. It sounds really super unique in the reference track. And over there, it comes together with the second sound here. If I'm isolating the second sound, it sounds like this. So that one also has these artifacts and kind of serves as a tail to the first sound. But it's a super interesting setup in a way. If we also take a look at how this one is synthesized, we can quickly check it out. We have 16 voices here. That's saw waves in our oscillator A. And quickly turning off the other ones. So there we are getting this saw feel if I'm just putting on oscillator B. We have pulse wave electro here dialed up all the way. One voice, combining that with this one and then adding a bit of sub in there. And in the effects, we have dimension expansion. Let's turn that off. Slightly detuning here. And then at the end, we have this more subtle filter, but making sure the release times here are short. And basically, these sounds are also getting picked up because all the instruments are getting picked up from echo. So I would have to put this on to properly hear everything. Yeah, and you have these super fast arpeggios. We are in A sharp minor, and our fifth in that case is E sharp. So that's why we are alternating between these two octaves. Always like the lower one and the higher one. And then in between playing the third. Here's our minor chord. And then we are messing around with the fourth. And what kinds of notes are we actually playing here? I have this grid set to 32 notes. And if we are zooming in, we can see we are actually playing 64s. So that's half a 32 note, and that one as well. Here in these quick steps. So super fast, but not triplets. You could also get the impression these are triplets, and they're not. They're like 64 notes actually played quickly, not too many of them to not confuse the rhythm too much, but it actually works nicely. Okay, together. We also have the pitch bend available here. In this style, you can always take a look at, does that sound interesting? If I do that, it could help the arrangement setup. You can also mess around with the mod wheel, quickly checking the mod wheel here, and this sound is controlling this filter here. So when we turn this up, it's getting brighter. But it has to be combined with this EQ here opening up. If I'm sort of turning this one up, so that one also works as a filter, and this is happening over time throughout the track towards the end of patterns, and you can really see how sort of the track is taking time to open filters and close them. And that's how you can have impactful drops or changes in transitions in your arrangement just by closing and opening these ones. So super interesting. Let me turn this off quickly again. And what do we have below these elements? In the drop part, we actually just have this saw pad note. Just playing the root note here with a simple saw wave. Bam. Filtered, absolutely basic. And then below everything we are playing these sine plucks, saw plucks, and square leads. So what are these together? 16th notes, velocities changed, and we are skipping the first note here, and that's the one that's playing with sine waves, more clicky. Super short. And below this one, we're playing this saw pluck. So this is 1 bar, and these are now 16th notes, and you can see they're a bit late. So this is also sometimes helpful to not have everything perfectly on grid. You could also argue, why are we not sort of moving all of this into a groove in the groove pool? Perfectly possible. Should work. So that's the pluck. What's the sound? Simple saw wave filtered. And then we have this square lead. Oops. I'm playing 8th notes. Opening up the optionality to add in this upper harmonic, which is 5th higher. So rounded to square 2 times, and sort of combined with the other elements in the group. If I'm soloing just these. Sounds interesting. And if we go over to our build-up here, we have, or break part, we have a bunch more sounds. We have this pluck square sound here in the beginning of the break. So let's listen to everything combined first. This is after we've been playing kicks, drums and everything for quite a while to build up the track.
Nobody knows just where we're headed.
And now we are entering this section. So this one is just a supporting layer for the fields. This one is actually holding the notes, so we have some kind of what's it called, arpeggiator going. In this case, it's just the LFO. Saw rounded to square. This is our setup, and then we have below we have this square lead doing this whip sound. So pitched up and back down. If you are looking for the Afro whip sound, take a look at the Keinemusik style videos. Master tune is getting automated with LFO1. And pad saw. So a filtered saw wave as a basic pad here, playing the third and the root. Very straightforward. So it's not too complicated here. It's more about sort of combining these to fill out the frequency range. And then we have this pad saw 3 higher up there. If I'm opening up Serum for this one, we have 9 voices in oscillator B and 1 voice in oscillator A. And so that's where this detuned feel is coming from. And in this case, we are creating a bit of tension by playing the third here. And then what is this? This is our 6th, or what is that? 7th? Quickly put in the scale, put it to minor so we can see it a bit better. If this is our root, that's our 5th, 6th, and that's the 7th. So G sharp. And then pad magic below that. Building a bit of tension, let's quickly look at the sound here as well. So we have a combination of a sine wave and 5 saw waves that are detuned again. And then also a bit of reverb on top of the sound and slower attack times on these pads. Okay, and then we have this pluck transition element. That's also nice ear candy every now and then. If you want to keep your tracks interesting, sometimes just throw in some extra pad that comes in every now and then. It sort of has a bit of movement. These elements will always help your sound. And if you go back and take a look at what was the mod wheel actually doing, it's controlling the filter cutoff and the filter frequency of the effects filter here, which is a high pass filter. And this one is a low pass filter, so it's sort of messing around with these frequencies. Keeping it interesting, and then right at the end of our build-up part, we have this pad LFO thing. Let's listen into that one. So this one is kind of serving the same purpose a snare roll would serve. First of all, we're going a bit slower. And then towards the end, preparing our listener that now something new is about to happen, and the mod wheel is, in this case, what controls our LFO1 rate. So how fast this thing is resetting. And all together at this point, to just see the context. I always have to put on the echo, keep forgetting that, but it throws so long with such a long delay of feedback, that is. It's kind of, I hear it in my ears while talking here. It's a bit difficult to concentrate, but here we have sort of one of the big climaxes in this track when these arpeggios go bonkers. And this is also a nice contrast for the arrangement purpose. So here our arpeggio is sort of moving up slowly, and here we are going super fast. So, you know, tension, release, this is sort of waking you up. Okay, we still need to take a quick look at our vocals group. So in the background, we have this Atmo from the Vocals Volume 2. It was recorded in A minor, but now we're in A sharp, so we pitched it up a semitone. And these are just super nice. They will always help you sort of make your track sound more professional because you're covering more frequency ranges that are sort of otherwise easily going to be empty. And just cleaning up some resonant frequencies we don't need in this track, and also filtering some lower frequencies. And on top, we need these vocals that are sort of with Meera. I'm guessing she's singing this herself, but she always does these nicely pitched and pitched down and very intimate sounding, treated with vocoders, sometimes vocals. We don't have her vocals here today, but we have other nice vocals that are also, that sort of give a similar vibe. Cleaning them up and a bit of multi-band compression, and then we need delay and a reverb time of 6.24 seconds here. We're not sending this straight into any send effects, but we are controlling the reverb on the track itself. And what else do we have?
Holding my hand feels like we're something. Nobody knows just where we're headed.
And we have another reverb, which is kind of acting as a send reverb here, because we have an audio effect rack with an empty one, and an audio effect rack with the reverb inside that has a decay time of 800 milliseconds.
Holding my hand feels like we're something.
And we are pushing that to the side. So dreamy vocals, that is sort of a signature of her sound. And then at the end of the day, we have these two return channels here that get sent into this sends group channel, sidechained, and then sent to the master, where we are compressing it, adding a bit of saturation and limiting to the sound. Nothing crazy, but these are basically our elements here. So before we are playing the entire track from start to finish, let's quickly summarize the style. So if we want to put together such a drum loop that sort of captures this vibe, we need a lot of shakers and claves and percussive elements. And really make sure it's filled out. We need a lot of shakers, like the ones we took a look at in the shaker section. And then you have also defining this sound, I would say these wonderful sound designs that are from some analog gear. I'm not really sure. Maybe if you know what this is, feel free to comment below in the description. Maybe it's modular. So this is fantastic sound design, and we are trying to sort of capture that with Serum here, but in the original sounds even better, or a lot better. Actually go to Spotify and listen to it over there. And then you're creating a bass line below that, but you're not really emphasizing on this one, but you make sure it has these pitchy movements every now and then to keep it interesting, even in those long passages. And also for the instrument part of this style, you're looking for nice transition instruments and effects here, like this pad, for example, to transition into the next section. Always making sure these have these echo and reverb throws that sort of fall into the next section. This is very nice ear candy sound design, superb stuff. Actually, when going through the style, you sort of get a sense that it almost sounds like done from a grandmaster of music production, somebody that has a phenomenal understanding of the intricacies of underground dance music, with this meditative, trippy style, not overloading too much, having its very unique character with these intimate vocals, and then having these super nice elements in the arrangement, but not overdoing it. It's really nicely done, really nicely set up, and we just like sort of try to reverse engineer it here to study it a little bit and learn the thinking behind the style to then go and apply some of these techniques to our own music. And in the transitions, you sometimes have longer release times, longer decay times on your sounds that also help make these reverb throws and echoes that are attached to them more interesting. And it creates this super organic and harmonizing ear candy in the track, which is super nice because it just blends perfectly in it. And the vocals often in her track sound intimate and get pitched up and down and treated with effects, and sometimes also with vocoders, not in this one, but in many other ones. And overall, just a superb style. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough. Check out the links in the description for the D Premium drum series that has been heavily used here, also for the PML vocal packs, also for the PML everything bundle. And if you're into Afro House, you want to learn it from start to finish, we have a complete Afro House start to finish course and sound packs collection, so check that out as well. I'm also throwing a link to this project in the description. If you enjoyed this type of content, consider subscribing to this channel. If you pick up a sound pack from Production Music Live, you're supporting this work here. So thank you for your time and attention today. I'll talk to you soon. And now we'll have a full playthrough through the track.
Take it back.